viewers, and a beautiful Sunday to you. A fresh political debate has erupted after human rights activist and African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore challenged the United States government to widen its latest visa restrictions beyond alleged internet fraudsters. His argument is that if foreign governments are prepared to sanction individuals accused of cybercrime, they should also consider imposing similar measures on politicians accused of large-scale corruption. The remarks have quickly generated reactions online, bringing renewed attention to the long-running debate over accountability, corruption, and international sanctions involving Nigerian public officials. The big question is this: should foreign governments extend visa restrictions to politicians accused of corruption, or should such sanctions only follow criminal convicts and formal legal findings? It is a question that has divided opinions for years. Supporters of tougher international measures argue that corruption has had devastating consequences for governance and economic development. Others maintain that sanctions should only be imposed after due legal process and credible evidence, rather than public allegations or political accusations. The comments follow the United States government's announcement of fresh visa restrictions targeting individuals allegedly involved in internet fraud, commonly referred to as Yahoo Boys, as well as certain family members believed to have benefited from or facilitated such activities. Responding to that announcement, according to Sahara reporters, Sowore argued that similar attention should be given to what he described as Yahoo politicians, saying international sanctions should not focus only on suspected cyber criminals, while politicians accused of corruption continue to travel freely. In a statement shared on his social media, Sowore questioned why several prominent Nigerian political figures had not faced similar restrictions. He specifically mentioned President Bola Tinubu, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila, Federal Capital Territory Minister Wike, and others. He alleged that those politicians had looted Nigeria's resources, weakened public institutions, and contributed to widespread poverty. Those allegations reflect Sowore's opinions and accusations and have not been established as findings of a court in this context. Sowore also argued that sanctions, if imposed, should not stop with political office holders alone. He questioned when foreign governments would consider extending visa bans to spouses, children, and individuals he alleged had benefited from proceeds of corruption or assisted in moving illicit wealth abroad. He maintained that politically exposed persons accused of large-scale corruption should receive the same level of international scrutiny applied to individuals accused of cybercrime. His remarks formed part of a broader criticism of what he described as inconsistent international responses to different categories of alleged criminal conduct. The activist further argued that restricting sanctions to alleged internet fraud suspects creates an imbalance in accountability. According to him, while young people accused of cybercrime face swift international consequences, politicians accused of misusing public funds are often still able to travel internationally and maintain lifestyles abroad. He suggested that foreign governments should apply anti-corruption measures more broadly where credible evidence exists. His comments have since fueled discussions on social media over whether international sanctions should play a greater role in promoting accountability. The debate over visa restriction is not entirely new. The United States and several other countries have previously imposed visa bans and financial sanctions on foreign public officials in different parts of the world where there have been findings or determinations relating to corruption, human rights abuses, or actions considered harmful to democratic institutions. Such measures are generally based on each country's domestic laws and foreign policy considerations. Decisions to impose sanctions typically involve government reviews and do not automatically follow public allegations or political statements. At the same time, it is important to distinguish between allegations made by political activists and official actions taken by governments. In this case, there has not been announcement by the United States government indicating that President Bola Tinubu, Senate President Akpabio, Femi Gbajabiamila, Nyesom Wike, or the other individuals mentioned by Sowore are under consideration for visa restrictions arising from his comments. Public criticism alone does not constitute evidence of wrongdoing, and those named are entitled to the presumption of innocence unless proven otherwise through appropriate legal processes. Sowore has consistently positioned himself as one of Nigeria's most outspoken critics of corruption and governance across successive administrations. Over the years, he has repeatedly called for stronger democratic anti-corruption institutions and greater international cooperation against individuals accused of looting public resources. His latest statement is consistent with his long-standing campaign for increased accountability, transparency, and consequences for public officials accused of corruption. Although his views remain part of an ongoing political debate rather than official government policy, whether Sowore's latest appeal will influence future decisions by the United States or any other foreign government remains uncertain. Visa restrictions are ultimately sovereign decisions made by individual countries based on their own legal standards, intelligence assessments, and foreign policy objectives. His comments have nevertheless reignited discussion about corruption, accountability, and the role of international sanctions in Nigeria. As the debate continues, attention is likely to remain focused on how governments balance legal due process with growing calls for stronger action against corruption wherever credible evidence exists. For more updates, stay with us on News Express, and a beautiful Sunday to you.